Lie. All right, what's up, everybody? Today I got BRP briefly, um, and as you see by the title, we're talking about the idea of women evolving for the good and men staying still. What's up, BRP? How are you?
I'm good, brother. Thanks for having me on, man.
No problem. Okay, so you had an interesting take in a back chat. You want to go ahead and give your thoughts on this topic?
Yeah, as I was saying, hopefully I didn't forget everything I just mentioned, but previously seconds ago, I was saying that, I would say that I would agree with most of that statement, but not entirely, because I'll give reasons why. But I would say, yeah, women definitely are evolving better compared to men. Men can evolve, but they either just choose to stay in the same, or they can't evolve because of their environment. So there's also other factors that they can't control. Um, but if you're talking from a really, really biological standpoint, women have always been more biologically, more socially and biologically. I wouldn't say biologically. I would say socially more advanced than men are from a biological perspective because they were born, as we say in the manosphere, they're born more red pill than men are. Men are usually born blue pill. They're naive. They don't know the social dynamics between men and women, and they just kind of go with the blue pill narrative of provider and protect and provide and all that and serve. So there's so much I got in my mind that it's going to cause me to jam up, but you kind of already know where I'm coming from.
All right.
Before we went live, you kind of already have an idea.
All right, yeah. So I disagree. This bothers me. This statement bothers the hell out of me. Um, I don't think either have evolved. I think both men and women have devolved.
Hmm.
I'll start with men and get to it. I think men devolved because we simply we don't desire the structure that we used to have, the responsibility that we used to have, and everything that will come with that, that would shape society to be functional.
Exactly. Yeah, I
And,
agree with that.
and women have devolved because a few things that I have laid out. Um, they brag about becoming more independent, which if so many people move that way, you have a less functioning society than when families are together. Uh,
Oh yeah.
Women brag about killing their babies. They used to throw them in dumpsters. Now they demand the ability to fuck whoever they want and then just shit them into a colostomy bag. Um, they whop wet ass pussy. That's their thing. I don't do anything, but let me tell you how I got this ring. That that when you go not just you don't desire structure, but when you completely go against structure, you have devolved to me. So this idea that they evolve for the better, why is society less functional today? So that's
Well,
what I call bullshit on that. Go ahead.
no, yeah, you're right. I agree with it. I didn't know you were gonna come in from that way. I'm talking about a social level. You're talking from a biological mother wise level. I'm talking like women are definitely doing better as far as in a social stance. Like they're more socially advanced than men are. They can pick up on a lot of social cues and men don't. This is why you keep seeing these other what I like to call blue pill ragers. Like there is I know Zero says there isn't, but there is something as blue pill rage. So blue pill rage is basically when you realize something, you're either going to accept it, negotiate it, or reject it. So blue pill rage is rejection. It's you realize that what they're telling you is true, but you're rejecting it because it hurts you. That's what blue pill rage is. So when you tell nice guys, hey, nice guys finish last, and women like the bad boys, some of them get upset. I used to get upset because it's true. So blue pill rage is not wanting to believe the reality. That's all it is. So from a social standpoint, women are definitely more advanced. I see it in my workplace. They know how to pick up on the job. The only thing that I would even go as far and say that even from a physical standpoint, some of these women, if you look at the Zoomer women on TikTok, their fucking bodies are amazing, dude. You can't deny that they are evolving into better states of I wouldn't say mental states, but they're definitely evolving on a physical from a standpoint, it's better. Just take a look at TikTok now. Yeah, they're also devolving from a motherhood wise level, or that kind of that caliber, because what has happened is, since we have in America, what we have, it's a double standard of having a free for all market, meaning that any woman and any man can sleep with whoever they want. However, there's hypocrisy with that, because if that were true, you would have prostitution legalized, and it's not legalized. It's if anything, it's even more incriminating than ever before. Here in Texas, they passed down a law that back then it used to be considered a misdemeanor if you would get caught in a sting operation for solicitation of prostitution, and now it's considered a fucking felony. Oh, excuse my French. So obviously, it's a double standard of hypocrisy. So they just honestly, they keep using two arguments to why they don't legalize prostitution. One, because of the religious Christian bullcrap belief, which is a made up institution. No offense to religious people. And the second one is because they use the health the health crisis as an, oh no, it's going to spread HIV and STDs more, which is also bullcrap. Because if you look at what's happening now, the STDs and the HIV, it's been the same since it was like 5 years ago. It slightly increases every year, but in reality, it's not out of control, because if it was, believe me, I would have had it, because I dumpster dive, and you know how nasty that is. Like, I try to get any woman that I can that I find attractive enough to sleep with, regardless if I pay for it or not. And so far, out of all the prostitutes that I've slept with, I have never gotten anything, and I don't wear condoms.
Even with prostitutes?
What's that?
You don't wear condoms with prostitutes?
No.
Why would you not wear a condom with a prostitute?
Because I know that she's clean.
How do you know that this prostitute is clean?
Because she has her results. So you're
she's
thinking
a prostitute.
You're thinking prostitutes on a very dirty, below average, like
I'm thinking prostitute.
Right. Prostitution has a bad stigma to it. People think of prostitutes as very low down, dirty women, and they're not. That's just the appropriate terminology is prostitution, not escorting. That's bullshit. Escorting is just a more fancier way of saying it, but they're all prostitutes. It's still the same shit.
Yeah, but hold on, because you went down a completely different alley. No pun intended. Even if she's a really high class hooker with results, there's going to be a guy. She's not getting tested after every guy. So from the time of the test to you don't know how many guys are winning raw.
No, they do get tested after every single guy. I know this for a fact.
How much are you paying for this hooker?
Oh, that's personal. I'm not going to say that. I mean, that's too personal to say. But it's not a lot.
I mean, not really.
It varies. Depending on the girl.
Okay. Go ahead.
And it does tie in with what you're talking about, because you're talking about both evolution and devolution. Am I correct?
Correct. We can talk about it socially, but I gotta admit, it's going to take me a while to adjust, because I didn't look at it from a social standpoint, so I don't really know how to come at it right now. But go ahead.
Okay, so everything is always going to tie in not just to one thing, but to multiple things. So you're always going to have sociology involved in it, along with biology and politics. So you can't exclude them, because if you do, then it's going to be too hard just to stick to that one, topic. But it does tie in to everything I just talked about. It has everything to do with the name of your title, because yeah, it is sort of both. I wouldn't say it's a good evolution, but it's more of a devolution. However, it's not really affecting me. If anything, I've been in a better mental state ever since I've done that. And you know what we call it in the incel sphere? We just call it whore maxing, because that's really what they are. They're all a bunch of whores. But are they really any different from the whores on TikTok? No, they're the same shit. The only difference is that the ones on TikTok are more deceptive. They act as if they don't want the money, but they've been exposed. They do take the money. But it's now that is definitely way more expensive. All the women you see on Twitter, TikTok, I had one tell me that she wouldn't even give me the pussy for $600. She wanted to jerk me off for $600. That's how expensive it is, because there's other guys on there, you know who they are, they pay over 1,000 just to sleep with them. So when a guy like me comes along, this is what Zero talked about on that stream he did with Bernard. You make it more expensive. You see what I'm saying? So
Right.
you can consider it a devolution or evolution. Either way, it's a natural thing to do. And if it's natural, it's not really devolution; it's more evolution.
All right. So trying to wrap my head around whether women have evolved socially. Here's the thing: women have vaginas. What would constitute them evolving socially?
Well, that's easy.
People when they don't really have to learn anything socially. We've discussed that time and time again. Well, okay, so let's take a woman in the 1950s. Would it describe her socially?
Okay, so a woman in the 1950s was not as socially as advanced as the ones in today, because back in those times, they didn't have to learn all this terminology, even this shit that you and me talk about, all this manosphere, MGTOW, incosphere shit. A woman in the 50s wouldn't have to bother to know what that was. Now they do. So they watch our channels. I've had one girl follow me until she got fed up. So they're learning the same things you and me are, so that they can get ready whenever the topic comes to them, and they're going to try to justify and rationalize things. If you look up the word rational, it's just basically, the definition of it is to try to make sense of something in that person's particular way. So women are going to try to rationalize things their way, and we're going to try to rationalize things in our way, right? So what you and me are trying to do, you can say that we're trying to rationalize, but I would say that we're trying to prove something that's more realistic. We're not trying to be solipsistic. We're trying to learn things outside of our solipsism, which is why we're here. That's what men do. Men always try to make sense of things. So going back to your question, how was a woman in the 1950s? I guess I'm assuming you're asking me that, was she devolving or evolving? I would say in the 50s they were just stale. They didn't have to. You had feminism going back all the way to the 1900s. You can ask TFM this. Going back all the way to the 1900s, feminism has been around, and all that was trying to teach women how to be independent, right? So you can argue and say that they've been trying to be socially equal to men or higher than men since the 1950s. However, a lot of women didn't buy into that because it was so comfortable just being a stay-at-home wife, raising strong nuclear family. That is why most of us are in here, because of that specific generation. That's why I'm here. That's why you're here, because I'm sure your folks and your folks, if you get what I'm saying, going all the way back in your bloodline, they were all about family. So as far as the nuclear family goes, yeah, you're totally spot on. It is devolving, because these women nowadays, even though they're socially advanced, that's exactly why they don't want to go back to the 1950s, because they want to be like men. They feel it feels good to be like men. In other words, women, remember what I said about pumping and dumping? They're the ones doing that. It's not men. Men used to do it back in the 1950s because we had the power. Men had the power back then. Men could sleep with prostitutes. Men could, cheat, sleep around, and women who had just put up with it, because if she didn't, then she wouldn't have a roof over her head. So, and again, women were more traditional back in the 50s. So I think I answered your question pretty well there.
Yeah, but like I put this quote on the screen for a reason. I think we all have heard several women say this. I only have male friends. Why? Well, because their male friends are trying to fuck. Could women in the 1950s get along with each other? Could they spend time, like on like the holidays that just passed? Weren't they all in the kitchen doing things together? When they were, all of them who were stay-at-home moms, didn't they all come together, take your kids to the park, whatever. Okay, so I don't know how wet ass pussy generation will be considered more advanced socially.
No,
than
socially they're not, but they are when you're talking about like economics because they're making more money than men. So
that's
they
not
are.
socially though. That's not socially.
It,
That's
it,
just
it does
making more
have to
money.
that, but it does tie in with sociology because if a woman has better social skills than this other dude, she knows how to sell herself. That
Well,
ties in
see,
with
that's not. But
sociology.
okay, but we have diversity quotas though. We push women to go to school to even get the degrees more than men. So you can't really put that on social skills or being
No,
better off
you
socially.
can't. You can't. As long as you
How?
can't, that is because I just explained how. That's why they're making more money than men because they're more sociable. They're social butterflies. Men are more like
Men still
I.
make more money than women.
I don't know. I mean, it depends what statistics you're looking at. I
Every
don't know.
race
There's
of dude, I just saw a video cover this. I've seen several
right.
people cover this.
I've seen that too, but I'm not disagreeing with that. But I'm going by what other channels talk about because again, you also have to consider the fact of something that this is why people get so misguided is classism. Classism has to do with everything. So you're talking about the women you're specifically talking about that are devolving. That's just below an average women. They're devolving because they don't want to be mothers.
Those
They
are majority of the women though.
right, exactly. So yeah, you're right in that sense. I'm talking about high earning career women, which make the minority. So that's where the confusion is coming in. If you're talking about most women, again,
Yeah,
I would agree with you for the most
general on a
part.
general sense.
Right, right. So yeah, they're definitely devolving in accordance to that. Yeah, absolutely. However, sociology still plays a big role. I'm not saying that those women specifically are evolving better socially because they're not. Their social skills are definitely getting more fucked up. That's why you see them on TikTok say a whole bunch of stupid shit. But I mean, again, statistics, depending on where you get them, is the only thing you can really use
Let's look
because
at
you
some
don't.
of the things women ask for. Let's look at some of the things women ask for. They ask for today, well, at least maybe it's a black thing, I don't know, but they ask for protection and provision quite a bit in today's society.
Oh
Do
yeah,
you think if they were better off socially, that they wouldn't have to ask for that?
right. Yeah.
Right. So wouldn't that even just those two things mean that they aren't better off socially today than they were
No, that's
a
just
hundred
them.
years
That
ago?
I disagree because they're being lazy. When women talk about that, they're lazy. All this stuff. You remember, and I love how you brought this up because this is how I answer that question, rightfully so. So going back to the old stream you and me did about alpha and beta, everything that you see here, everything we talked about this before. So I hope you don't get confused. All these women that talk about they want a good man, a provider, all it ties in with is a guy who is a provider, period. So when you see women say that they can't find economically attractive men, what does that tell you? What that tells you is that they can't find any beta buxes. That's the answer right there. So even beta males somehow, some way, they're waking up and saying, nope. They took the red pill. Now they're starting to see that these women just want them for resources. And then they sent them their own way. That's where the whole MGTOW thing comes in. You see what
Okay,
I'm saying?
so men got smarter. It sounds like they
Right.
evolved
Exactly.
better than women did.
Exactly. Yeah. Definitely. Now, right there. Thank you. I'm glad you're seeing that. And that's only, again, hold on a second though. That's only because of all the technology we have. TikTok, internet, my channel, your channel, all these men's rights channels, they're not MGTOW. They're really called. It's just men's rights activists. That's all it is. We're looking out for other men because we don't want other men to act out, go crazy, go ballistic, all of the above, right? Because men can't control their emotions and men are more physically volatile than women are. And again, that's why I say women are more socially advanced than men are, because women know how to trigger you from a social level. They know how to piss off guys. They know how. My own mother has said it. We know how to work a man's mind. So again, they're more socially evolved than men are. If you're talking biology, I mean that it varies depending on genetics. So this is a can of worm. That's the other thing too. We can get confused because so many of these things lead to other more things. So we got to make sure we jot every single one of them down so we don't get confused. But going back to what you said about how they're asking for, provisioning or whatever you want to call it, that's just beta male. That's the beta male, because the alpha male, he doesn't care about that, because what you're talking here is options. So what it seems like is, here's the thing though. This is why the incels laugh at women. Women are always going to have options. Period. End of discussion. They just don't want those options. That's what BGS talks about too. BGS said more. He talks about that all the time. There's always going to be a sucker out there for these women, but when those women come across them, they don't want them.
Right.
So everything that we're talking about here, provisioning, provider, it's all beta male. So women don't want beta males. They want the alpha males to be like betas. But the alpha males are like, no, we're not stupid. We're seeing, your true colors. So if you look at a lot of these women on TikTok, they're what, average looking at best? Like what, 5s and 6s? Or 4s and 5s?
Depends on the video you see.
Right. Because some of them are very attractive. I've seen very few of them where they're very attractive. I'm like, God damn, that's no fucking, that bitch is an 8 or she's a 7, right?
But wouldn't that wait, so would that go to show some type of, evolution or de-evolution? Where you see, like, I seen one chick who's like super thick. No, you know what? Matter of fact, there's just one chick. Her name is something Blanco. I can't remember exactly what her name is, but it's something Blanco. And what she does is she makes the most basic ass TikToks, and it's literally just her standing there looking pretty, and then she'll show you her really super fake ass.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the women on TikTok, they're just superficial, and I would say that they're devolving definitely from a mental point of view, and it is affecting them socially. It's making them narcissistic, and that's why, yeah, in that sense, I agree. They're devolving. So these women are just they're mental, dude. They're mentally unstable, ill women. They are fucked up in the head, and they don't even realize it. So remember what Zero talked about, solipsism? Those are the solipsism women he's talking about right there. They can't.
That
they have
is
the
an insanely fake ass. Is that evolving when you put an ass on so fake it looks like a watermelon in both cheeks?
Yeah, of course. No, that's definitely superficial.
Here's a skill she has.
Well, I can't see it, but okay,
yeah. Is that evolution where she pays all that money just to have people stare at her?
I can't answer that, man, because I don't know if that ass is real or not. But I can tell you
it's not.
Okay, so if it's not, again, that's just superficial. Bitches. Okay, so one thing you have to consider too is NPC culture. You know what NPC culture is, right?
No.
Okay, so basically is follow the leader, right? They all have a narrative and they all follow it. So all these women you see on TikTok, they're all NPCs. They're all just trying to show off and challenge each other to see who has the better superficial body. Because in their minds, they think that every man just wants that, and it's not true. The only men who do want that are the ones they can't have. You see what I'm saying?
Sure, that shit looks fucking weird. And I want to get to this this article. So this lady, this was posted in a Facebook group, and the title is "I opted for surrogacy to avoid baby daddy drama." And then Annie Ito, I guess that's the writer or the lady who, I guess that's her in this picture. Let's get down here. All these damn ads. My God.
Yeah, it's annoying.
Okay. It says popular actress Amy Ito, maybe I should look her up after this, has said that she decided to go the surrogacy route to have her child in order to avoid the drama that usually accompanies single parenthood.
Oh man.
In an interview with a popular blogger, Stella DeMoco Corcus, the 39-year-old said, quote, I opted for a donor for me and my baby's peace of mind. Ideally, it should be marriage before children, but we are not living in an ideal world. Another reason I opted for a donor is because it scares me so much when I see banter and controversy between a mother and a father over a baby on public forums, or when I see the man insisting that he wants his child if things do not work out between both parties. For me, it is the fear of what would mean for the child. I am not someone who allows any situation control me. I think to control me. I make lemonades out of lemons, throw my way and have no regrets. Life itself is so fragile and short to be striving for perfection. I am well and capable of taking care of my child as I
Oh
have been
my
taking
god.
care of myself.
Oh my god.
I wanted a child, and I thank God for the options of surrogacy and donors. Unquote.
Oh my god. You see
Anything
how
before I go to the next paragraph?
let me interrupt you real quick. You see how stupid she is? She's talking about idealism, right?
Right.
And then she's saying we don't live in a perfect world. So that right there is showing the level of solipsism she has. She can't adjust to healthy options because they're not ideal enough for her. So in other words, she wants perfection. That's the problem with most women. They want perfection, and if they can't have perfection, they want idealism. And idealism and perfection are almost the same thing. The only difference is that an idealist is they have to have. Okay, so I'll give you a perfect example. I'm going to use me. So I leave these poor women alone. The reason why I struggle is because I can't find the ideal woman. Okay, bottom line. So my ideal woman is a woman who's tall and she has attractive, big physical features. Okay, if I can't find that, I either I take what I can get or I stay single. But because I'm a guy, most of the times I'll just take what I can get. Right.
Right.
Compared to women, they don't do that. If they don't get Mr. Perfect, they got to get Mr. Right, which is ideal. If they can't get Mr. Right, they don't want anything. That's how stupid they are.
Okay.
And it pisses me off hearing them talk about like that because they do not want to be compatible. They can do it, but they choose not to. Does anything that I'm saying make any sense? Because I'm breaking it down very well.
Yeah, but I'm more. You're right in the perfect part, which is the one part of it. But I looked at the other part, which was those first two paragraphs sound like her just wanting control. Like she doesn't want to have to be in a situation where the guy says, I want this to happen with my child because I feel it's best.
Well,
And then
that
her
right
go,
there,
no,
that
I'd
right
rather just be a single mom.
that right there is showing you everything I just talked about before. They want to be like men. They don't want to be women from the 1950s. So they've socially progressed themselves to a higher status level, and if you're not on her social status level, you're beneath her. So she won't like you. You have to be above her or you have to be perfect. And if you're not above her or perfect, then she don't want you. This is why all the relationships are so bad nowadays because most women are starting to acquire that level of status. So not only are they devolving, they're evolving in a weird way. They're evolving and both devolving in a weird way. But however, they're not devolving on a social level. They're devolving on a feminine level. So they don't want to be feminine anymore. They want to be feminine, but in their idealistic, perfect way, which is not realistic.
Right.
I
That's
gave I gave I gave you. Go ahead.
go ahead.
No, you go ahead. You said that's
I
what.
was I was about to keep going with the article, so whatever you got to say, go ahead.
No, go ahead, man.
Okay, so it continues. Admitting that she had a child about a year ago, she said, "quote Yes, I do have a daughter, and I had her through surrogacy. I was hoping to talk about her on her first birthday, which comes in a few months, but mischief makers beat me to it and spoiled the beautiful story with lies. The eggs are mine, so genetically, she is my blood. I chose this path to fulfill my dream of becoming a mother. I still have a good number of eggs frozen in case I decide to do surrogacy again or carry my baby myself." Unquote. Reacting to allegations about her child's father being a married man identified as Cone, the actress said, quote, "It is so sad that in Nigeria, when a single woman is friends with a guy, it must mean to people that they are dating. Combe has been my friend for years, and that's what it is, period. He's a responsible family man and doesn't deserve to be dragged into my mother's story." Unquote. Okay, these two, what bothered me about these two paragraphs is on the back end, it said, it's a shame that when a woman is seen with a guy, that they must be date. Like, why is that a shame? That's typically, you had a kid, you're with a guy. I don't know what's wrong with that assumption. Um, but this wanting to keep her daughter or the way she came about a secret when she's in the limelight, when she's in the light, she's a popular actress and all that stuff. That's a red flag to me. That's a problem to me. Why are you trying to hide your children for anything other than their personal mental health? That's the problem with me. Also, before I pass it over to you, the eggs are mine, and then she has them frozen just in case. Why are you planning on doing this shit again? So we're even. I don't know. I forgot about this part. There are a lot of women I hear talk about freezing their eggs because they just want to take more and more and more and more and more time, potentially, as you said, to find a guy that don't want them. Just pick a guy.
They're devolving, like I said, from a mental point of view. It's not hard to explain what I'm saying. It's like one of those things that you get better at, but if you get better at something and you don't like it anymore, you try to look for something else. And then if you find something that you like in there and that thing doesn't like you, then you start devolving. So that's what's happening to a lot of these women out here. They're devolving and other parts of their life, and they're trying to live their life as idealistic as they can. She literally just said that. They know they can't get a perfect life, so idealism, again, I gave you a good example. That was me. However, you can't compare men and women the same, because if I'm fucking thirsty, trust me, I'm going to fuck a woman that's a 4 or a 5 out of 10. A woman is not going to do that, even if she's fucking ugly. I see it all the time. So again, they have to get their little fucking ideal world get going to motivate them to do these things. So that's why, since they know the environment is in their favor, I mean, she has surrogate babies. She has what do they call it, impregnation with the needle or whatever the fuck. All the odds are in their favor as far as the environment goes. This is all artificial bullshit. And as far as them freezing their eggs back and forth or just for a long time, they're doing that because when they get older, they want to be mothers. Like, they want to be mothers, but if they can't find the ideal father, then they just want to be the leader of that child. But it's so stupid, and that's definitely devolution on such a bad level, because if it's a boy, he's going to grow up all fucked up. He's not going to have any strong masculine natural features from his father. Not going to have a father around. And if it's a girl's going to grow up the same way her mother did, if not worse. So we're definitely on a devolution path as far as they go. But the problem is, men are not doing anything about it either. They ain't doing shit. Even the fucking Senate was talking about, this is something that you should really go check him out. Pastor Dowell, he has a big subscribe count. I've actually talked to him. Pastor Dowell talked about how women are devolving in such a bad way. And he does blame men, because men ain't doing shit either. They ain't going to the Senate. They ain't, you got to get a whole bunch of men together in order to fight this feministic bullshit. But the most pathetic part about it is that men ain't doing shit either. We talk.
You can't rely on that. if you could get men to go to the Senate, you could get men to stop a whole lot of shit that happen.
Yeah,
You can get
exactly.
the taxes, the war on guns, the war on masculinity. That's never going to happen. But go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
Well, that's my point. That's why. What's the point of even? I mean, we can have these conversations, but if there's no solution, it's just nothing but depressive shit.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? We're talking about it because we're trying to get ourselves aware for what's coming. Right?
Again, we have too much luxury. I said that.
Yeah, exactly.
Earlier.
There you go. There you go.
We're not willing to do that structure part, the responsibility part.
Thank you. You basically just answered your own question right there.
Drink our
right
soda
there.
All day.
There you go. That's it.
All right. So real quick, just nothing big, but I do have this chick's response in the comment section of that original post on Facebook. She says, "Of course, this is going to happen more and more, especially for successful women that don't want to deal with a partner. This right here is where you got to give somebody like Turd Flinging Monkey a huge shout out, because he's as controversial as it is. He said, yo, you want a better society? Well, not better. Anyway, I'm probably misrepresenting it hard as hell, but if you want things to go easier, I will say, or a better society, you got to take women's rights away. And when she said something like that, she pretty much put it right there on the nose for him to use as ammo. The more successful women become, they just, I'm not going to deal with the partner. I'm just going to get a surrogate.
Exactly.
What?
That's what I was. Yeah.
So
that's what I was. Yeah.
You're not going to give the child a structured environment. It's about you. The baby's about you, not the baby itself.
Because if you look at what's happening, this is the problem of America. America has this misconception to make everybody think that we can live as idealistic as we can, and that's bullshit. That's bullshit. Idealism is a made-up lifestyle, or whatever you want to call it, philosophy. Okay, that's not natural. As long as something is not natural, you're going to have these problems. So since women have all their odds in their favor again, that's why they're acting these ways. And they know it's fucked up, but they don't care. They don't care, and they have no morality. They have no mercy. Men know these things, and men have the power to do these things, but they ain't doing shit about it either. Now, the ones who do, it's not enough of them. Lamprey talked about that, and so did TFM on that stream he did with Sandman and Terrence Pop. Men aren't doing shit anything. Men ain't doing shit either. So we can't blame just the women. We have to blame the men too, because we ain't doing shit either. We're just talking about it, but we ain't doing nothing. So where do we end? We're like in this weird trance that hasn't really finished transcending, if it makes any sense. Like, we're on this devolution as far as the nuclear family and society goes, civility goes. We're definitely on a decline, right?
Right.
But the elites and other factions of society are trying to prevent that from happening, even though it's already happening. But people in power keep coming up with all these bullshit ideas, and women just buy into them. Like one of them right there. She's gonna freeze her eggs. She's gonna get a rent. Who's she gonna get a kid from? The guy that doesn't want. Right. That's what I'm saying. So you have to blame the sperm donors as well too.
It's here's what I just thought about. So what does that mean for women when now they're not even picking based on like genetics? They're just picking like, fuck it, give me a jar of sperm. Yep. Or can you go to a sperm bank and make sure I want them 6 feet? Like, you don't even know what you're getting. I don't even know how that works.
Yeah,
you know
that's
how that works?
True. I think my guess is that the sperm banks, when they get the sperm samples, they're going to base it off the father. So if the father was 5'11" or 6 foot, they're going to assume their kids are going to be the same height as their fathers, because the weird thing about it is that genetics are very random. So you can try to have the smartest scientists predict that all the babies are going to be in accordance to what the previous father was, and that can backfire. Because like my dad's tall and I'm short, I get it from my mom. So, just because some stupid scientists are saying that doesn't mean that it's going to be right every time. So genetics are very random, and scientists are stupid. But however, if most of their cases are right, then more than likely their predictions are gonna be right about sperm that they have. So you got guys that are whatever height, and they're basically donating their sperm for whatever reason. When men do that, it's usually because they have healthy sperm, and they also don't want to have kids, but they don't mind donating, which is basically another form of cookholding, but it's in a very advanced stage. Like, I wouldn't adopt no kids. Sorry to say, but I ain't doing that. That's not natural. I'm more of a guy that sticks to natural things, right? So sperm donors are fathers that don't want to be fathers, and they just donate their sperm, and they get money for it too. And if they have very healthy sperm, I think they get a bonus. I think I read you get about $70 to $100, if not more, depending on how healthy your sperm is. But it's a very long, weird process. I was thinking about doing that a long time ago, but I was like, man, I ain't doing that. And even now they're getting selective about that. So if you're a guy that's very ugly, you're short, and you have some sort of genetic deficiencies, they're not taking it that kind of sperm donor at all. They ain't taking it. I know one of my subscribers talked about that very well. So they're even getting picky with that. So you got all kinds of elitist agendas in our society. And that's another thing too. Elitism is not natural. It's very, very narcissistic, and this has infected women like people have no idea. And people are barely just talking about this shit.
Can you see the screen?
Yeah, but not. I can't read anything because I'm on my phone.
Okay,
And yeah.
I'll let you know what it says. So I went to this is Fairfax Cryobank, a sperm donor bank, and I'm using the search for sperm donors. I use height 6 foot and above, black, and if they have photos. So they gave me 2 exact matches, and then I have like 200 partial matches. We'll get to that part, but the first one is a ID graduate, and it says donor who is pursuing or has achieved a graduate degree and who agrees to be known when offspring reaches 18 years of age. Offspring must be registered to access donor information. If desired, you can choose not to register offspring, thereby keeping the donor non-ID. And then I won't get to the other one. I just want, this dude said he said don't fucking even talk to me. And I guess this is where you can really like boil it down to it. So if you want a black baby who's probably gonna be 6 feet tall, boom, here you go. Let's look at the profile.
Yeah, so that's what I'm talking about as far as America trying to give people that idealistic world. And again, because we do live in a gynocentric country, so they're going to cater more to women than men.
Right.
We don't live in a patriarchy. We live in a fucking gynocentric cookerchy.
Damn. Six 190. So he's a fit guy with black curly hair.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, what else can we do, man? We can't do much. This is the fucking train we're on, and we're gonna see where it leads to, but it's not gonna be anything good.
Donor 6410 is caring, thoughtful, and determined. He wants to be the change and make his community a better place. He isn't afraid of hard work, and he's willing to collaborate if it means progress. In working with him, I've always appreciated his openness and honesty. Donor 6410 has warm brown eyes, short, curly black hair, and an approachable demeanor. Donor 6410 stands 6 foot 1 inches tall and has a toned, muscular physique.
Yo, is that a dating profile or a donor profile? What the fuck?
Yeah, it's all
Donor
fucked up, man.
6410 talks about his aspirations.
So my aspirations center around education reform, economic development, particularly within African American communities, and just building generational wealth for my own family.
Why the fuck do you need to know that?
Exactly.
This is encouraged. Well, not
Yeah.
it's not by the site, but it's like, how could a chick not say, "Yo, fuck it, I'll go get the exact donor match that I wanted." This shit is crazy.
Yeah, that's what I said. That we're on a very crazy devolutionary train wreck. Well, we
Before
haven't
she
wrecked
didn't
it.
have good hair, get the Asian guy. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say, I got to. I'll probably be jumping off around 10 o'clock, maybe 10:20, 10:30, but we're still good now. No, man,
That's-
I'm just glad. I'm glad you're seeing all this crazy shit, because everything that you're seeing is exactly what's destroying our society.
Yeah, man. So I want to. I don't have the actual video, but I'm going to say what this woman said. And you can give me your thoughts on it. She said basically. You know what? Hold on. I think I do have the video. Let me go back. Shoot. But she said something about what is that? About having to settle for mediocre men. I'm trying to find if I have it. Oh, here it is. Okay, hold on.
Primarily for survival, which means a lot. Why do you think dating has become so hard in this new day
Can you hear that?
Yeah.
and age? Because men won't evolve. For the bulk of history, men have subjugated women, and therefore women have relied on men primarily for survival, which means a lot of our ancestors settled for mediocre men they didn't actually love. They did whatever they had to do to survive in the hopes that their offspring would grow up and have better choices. Only in recent years have women had better choices because they can participate in capitalism. Remember, women haven't always had the power to vote, especially Black women in this country. And women weren't even allowed to have their own bank accounts until like the 70s or open a credit card. Now that we have our own money and our own resources for survival, we no longer need men, which is why so many women that would otherwise, in another point of history, settle for these mediocre men no longer have to. Because men have never been the prize. They used violence throughout history to make us think so.
I really
What are your thoughts?
Oh my God, that's funny, because if that were true, she wouldn't have the rights that men gave them. So she's stupid, because men could have. Yeah, she's right about the violence. She's definitely right about that. But that's just male nature. See what she talked about right there? That's female nature. That's dark female nature. So it sounds to me like she's fine with dark female nature, but she's not fine with dark male nature. So there's a double standard. There's hypocrisy there. And that even shows you that even the guys that are fully select, that are not mediocre, right?
Right.
Those men don't even want those women, because those women are mediocre to them. That's a power dynamic.
What fucked me
amazing.
up was when she said women were subjugated and something. It's like, so if we enslaved you and we were just this awful, why the fuck did we let you get free then?
Exactly.
Slaves didn't just become free. Like the North and South had an actual war. What war did women fight, or had someone have to fight for them?
They didn't fight anything. They were given those fucking things. That's what it is. So this is all based on devolutionary power, because men are too stupid to. Men back then were too stupid. Some of them were smart and ahead of their time, but most men were too stupid and became blue-pilled and docile, and thinking women were these angelical beings, and they're actually worse than us, because they destroy. Look at America. It's a gynocentric society, and it's you have weak men more than ever before. Everything's falling apart. Remember what Zero said about betas create society? That's what it is right there. Women just don't want to procreate with betas. That's all it is. They're pissed off that they can't accept that. That's why I say women are not black-pilled. They're red-pilled, but they want to live these blue-pilled fantasies, and they cannot, because it doesn't coincide with them. It's not in their nature to live that way, and they get pissed off because they bought into capitalism. So they're brainwashed by capitalism, thinking that they can pick like men, and they cannot because they're not born like men.
Yo,
You see how stupid they are?
why the hell did she take it all the way back to a time where dating didn't exist?
Because she's
So
stupid.
what are you comparing it to? Okay, so fine. Dating is hard now because you don't have to settle for the mediocre guy, but that will only mean that you can't get the non-mediocre guy because otherwise dating wouldn't be hard.
Exactly.
It would be easy. Just go to the guy who's not mediocre.
Exactly.
So why aren't
But
you
what
with
did I?
him?
Because she's mediocre to him. So most women, we talked about them being below average or barely average. From a physical standpoint, most men that are average, they're still better genetically than women are. So again, because capitalism is idealistic, women are going off of that. They're choosing based on that capitalistic, consumeristic view. That's why they're so stupid, because it's affecting them and they just don't want to admit it. They know it's hurting them, but they're too pissed off to admit it. So in other words, what I find amazing is how you know how I always reference the pills and the manosphere and all that shit. It sounds to me like a lot of the women that you're showing me, they're suffering from red pill rage. That's right.
Probably
That's what it
so.
is. Huh?
Probably so. Probably
No,
so.
definitely so. Because they can't find the ideal men. So they get pissed off because they can't go back, but they can't move forward either. That's what red pill rage is. When they finally accept it, they can do better, but they choose not to. You didn't think I had the same problem? I didn't always want to fucking, I had the same problem too. Men have that problem too, but men take what they can get. Men don't date. Men take what they can get. And as far as her saying that men are not the price, well, now we're not, because of capitalism and all this egalitarian bullshit, which is not. It's all feminist, gynocentric bullshit. That's what it is. And again, biologically speaking, women are actually born way more inferior to men. Men are always going to be taller, bigger, aggressive, stronger, and women they can't handle that. They can't handle that because it's a hard pill for them to swallow. But because we live in a gynocentric society that caters to all their needs, that's why they talk the shit that they talk.
True. So one thing that pisses me off that I also said in the video when I covered this is that it's just assumed, and this is by not just her, by a lot of people apparently, that women were just settling for mediocre men way back when. And it's like, were you settling for mediocre men, or were you making a business decision? Those are two different things. And also on top of that,
exactly,
when you look at the way they talk now about how it used to go back then, why don't we ever bring up the idea that maybe there was a lot of men taking in a lot of ungrateful women who didn't appreciate the guy who did all this hard work to keep his family intact, keep his family afloat, keep his family fed with a roof. That pisses me off that we just go right past that part. That's not
you answered everything we're talking about with that statement.
Only they suffered. And and because they get a lot of talking points from this idea. The fact, like they say, the father was, in control of his daughter, he owned her and all this stuff. And it's like, well, in a day and age, if you didn't have welfare or Social Security, if she got pregnant by the wrong guy, who's she gonna run back to? The father.
No, she got pregnant by the guy she wanted to, right? The so-called genetically superior. And she wants the mediocre guy to take care of that. But because we live in a free country, even though it's gynocentric, men don't have to do that. There's no law that says you have to be a cuckold and take care of this other guy's. The minute that happens, dude, I can tell you there's going to be shit going on the streets.
No, I'm talking about back then. How they tried to make it seem like he was just controlling for no reason.
No. Back then, men were too stupid. They were too blue-pilled. But, they thought women weren't going to be as evil as... All the shit that you're seeing is just dark female nature. That's all it is. And the men of today, they're like, holy shit. We didn't know they were going to get this bad. But the men back then, they were like, you know what? They're humans. Let's give them rights. They didn't earn those fucking rights. They didn't win those rights. They didn't fight for anything. And the few women that did, they're not even around. They're dead. So men are also fucking stupid for giving them rights.
That's
TFM.
another thing. It wasn't a women can't have rights. It was certain shit put in place.
Exactly.
Like the voting thing. It wasn't a women can't vote. It was only these group of people can vote because it only makes sense for them to vote.
Right.
Why
But
would we allow anybody to vote just for any reason?
the welfare system is very popular because you got a lot of weak men that benefit out of it. That was mainly a bitch made law by women, and it got passed down because it wasn't just women that voted. The majority was women, but you have weak men that voted for it, and they benefit from that. So they get money from the welfare system. Now, as far as going back to what you said earlier, that men are still making more money, I would agree with that too, because men are also the ones who pay the most taxes. So women are benefiting from that. So when women really finally start to accept this and they realize it, two things are going to happen. Maybe more than two things, but the two most common ones I can think of, or with the only third option. First thing that's going to happen is they're going to reject it. They're going to ridicule it and say that's bullshit. The second one is they're going to oppose it and try to make it seem like women did have these rights or privileges, which they didn't. And the only reason why they have them is because stupid men give them to them. And lastly, the third one is they're just going to make their peace with it and accept the fact they ain't shit without men. Because the mediocre men that she's talking about so bad are the ones that gave her that power. I guarantee you it wasn't Chad, it wasn't Tyrone, it wasn't Alpha, it was Beta. Betas create society, not Alphas. Alphas don't create shit.
You know what's crazy is I've realized a lot of these women, well, not a lot. Well, I've realized that there are women who will be like this, and then you'll find out that they have a whole man or maybe even be married. It's like, why the fuck are you? They just jump on the internet to talk shit because out of boredom, and it's like
exactly, yeah.
Why? That is, if that's not the definition of devolving, I don't know what is.
Mental illness, that's what it is.
I'm gonna start shit with people I don't know, just so I can get a rise out of them. Like 70% of the women on social media are fucking trolls.
Oh yeah.
And I don't understand why. Why are you trolling people when you got so many people in your DMs?
Because they're miserable. They're miserable that they're not living that ideal life that I'm talking to you about, that we're talking about. They're miserable that they don't have that life. And even when they do, they're still miserable. You know how many fucking Chads get sent their own way? More than people think of. Women are never satisfied. That's one of the MGTOW rules, which is very true. They're never satisfied. I don't know how many, but there's a lot of women out there that are not satisfied with the way they're living. It's a crazy hormonal imbalance that they have. Makes them act that way. So that's what it is, man. But, you know, it's up to men, too, to do what they want to do. And if they want to do something about it, then they have the right. They have the power to do so. And if they don't want to do shit, then continue to enjoy the decline and just live off the grid or something. Because once that shit hits the fan scenario happens, a lot of people are going to die. A lot of men are going to die. A lot of women are going to die. And I have no idea how you're going to recuperate civility from that stage at that point. But I hate to say this, man, but I'm gonna have to jump off, man. Thanks for having me on. I cannot thank you enough for that. I'm gonna try to see when I host, because now that I'm back to work, that's actually something I want to talk to you about. That was very important. Was the fact that I was out also on a.
We can go to the back chat. I'm about to get off anyway, so let me just end the broadcast so we can go to the back.
Sure.
Chat. All right. Thanks for watching. Hit the like button on your way out if you haven't subscribed yet. And you like the stream, you like the content, please subscribe. Share this on your social media. Thanks for watching, and we are out of here.